Atomic Habits. Book. Summary. How to improve 37.78 times faster. Introduction. Why small habits matter. What if the key to massive success wasn't a big breakthrough but something much smaller? In Atomic Habits, James Clear reveals a powerful truth. Small daily habits compound into extraordinary results over time. Whether you want to get fit, build wealth, or master a new skill, the secret isn't willpower or motivation. It's the power of tiny, consistent changes. Most people believe success is about setting big goals and pushing through with discipline, but Clear argues that habits shape our identity and daily actions far more than motivation ever will. A single, small habit, repeated over weeks and months, can transform your life in ways you never imagined. Just like compound interest in finance, the effects of good habits multiply over time. Consider this: if you improve by just 1% every day, that tiny change doesn't seem like much, but over a year, that 1% compounds, making you 37.78 times better than when you started. That's the power of atomic habits, small, consistent changes that lead to remarkable transformations. Unfortunately, many people give up on self-improvement because they expect instant results. They start a new habit, but when they don't see immediate changes, they lose motivation. This is what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential, the idea that progress remains invisible for a while before results suddenly explode. Just like water heating up before it reaches the boiling point, habits take time to show their full impact. The key is sticking with them long enough to see results. Another common mistake? Relying on motivation alone. Motivation fluctuates. It's unreliable. One day you're excited to hit the gym, the next you feel too tired. The people who succeed don't depend on motivation, they rely on systems. A well-designed system makes good habits effortless and bad habits harder to do. This means designing your environment, setting up triggers and automating decisions so that the right behaviors happen naturally. Habits also shape your identity. If you see yourself as trying to exercise, you'll struggle. But if you identify as someone who never misses a workout, you act in alignment with that belief. Change happens when habits reinforce who you are, not just what you do. This audiobook summary will break down the science behind habit formation, the 4 laws of behavior change, and practical steps to build good habits and eliminate bad ones. You'll learn why motivation fails, how your environment shapes your habits, and how to design a system that makes success inevitable. By the end, you'll have a clear roadmap to take control of your habits and create lasting change. Let's dive into the first lesson, the science behind habit formation. Lesson 1. The science behind habit formation. Habits are the invisible force that shapes our lives, often without us realizing it. Every day, we follow routines that determine our health, wealth, and happiness. The way you wake up, how you work, what you eat, and how you spend your evenings. All of these actions are largely driven by habits. But why do habits form, and how can we use this knowledge to our advantage? The habit loop: cue, craving, response, reward. James Clear builds on the work of psychologists like B.F. Skinner and Charles Duhigg to explain the habit loop, which consists of 4 key steps. 1. Cue, a trigger that initiates a habit. 2. Craving, the desire to act on the habit. 3. Response, the actual habit behavior. 4. Reward, the benefit you get from the habit. Take the habit of checking your phone. Cue, you hear a notification. Craving, you feel the urge to check it. Response, you pick up your phone and scroll. Reward, you get a dopamine hit from social media or a message. This cycle reinforces itself over time, making the habit automatic. The stronger the cue-reward connection, the harder it is to break the habit. Why small changes work better than big ones. Many people fail at building new habits because they start too big. They commit to an extreme workout routine or try to read an entire book in a week. When they can't sustain it, they quit. The key to lasting change is starting small. Clear introduces the concept of habit stacking, which means attaching a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will do 5 push-ups. After I make my morning coffee, I will read 1 page of a book. By connecting a new habit to a current routine, you make it easier to remember and stick with it. The role of identity in habit formation. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Your habits reinforce your identity. If you run every day, you become a runner. If you write every day, you become a writer. If you save money regularly, you become financially responsible. This shift makes habits easier to maintain because they become part of who you are, not just something you do. Making good habits easier and bad habits harder. Clear emphasizes environment design as one of the most effective ways to change habits. If you want to eat healthier, keep junk food out of sight and put fruits on the counter. If you want to work out more, set your gym clothes out the night before. For breaking bad habits, do the opposite. Make it harder to access distractions. Increase the friction for bad behaviors. Surround yourself with people who reinforce the right habits. The power of repetition in habit formation. One overlooked key to forming habits is repetition. Many people believe habits are built by doing something for 21 or 30 days, but Clear emphasizes that the number of repetitions matters more than the number of days. Each time you perform a habit, it reinforces the neural pathway in your brain, making it stronger. This is why missing a single day isn't a failure. What matters is getting back on track quickly. Conclusion: the power of the habit cycle. Understanding how habits work gives you control over your daily actions. By using the habit loop, stacking small changes, reinforcing a positive identity, and consistently repeating behaviors, you can design a system that leads to long-term success. Next, we'll explore the 4 laws of behavior change, the fundamental principles that determine whether a habit sticks or fades away. Lesson 2: the 4 laws of behavior change that make or break your habits. Habits don't just happen, they follow a predictable pattern. To build good habits and eliminate bad ones, you need to understand the 4 laws of behavior change, which serve as the foundation for any habit-forming process. These laws are: make it obvious so that the habit is always in your awareness. Make it attractive so that you are naturally drawn to it. Make it easy so that following through requires minimal effort. Make it satisfying so that your brain wants to repeat it. By applying these 4 laws, you can design habits that stick and break the ones that don't serve you. First law: make it obvious so that the habit becomes automatic. The first step to changing your habits is to become aware of them. Most of our daily actions are automatic, and we often don't realize why we do them. Clear suggests using a habit scorecard where you list your daily behaviors and label them as positive, negative, or neutral. This creates awareness of which habits to keep and which to change. To build a new habit, use implementation intentions, which are simple statements that define when and where you'll do something. Example: I will exercise for 10 minutes at 7 a.m. in my living room. I will read 1 page of a book before bed. Another powerful technique is habit stacking, where you pair a new habit with an existing one. After I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write down 3 things I'm grateful for. By making habits obvious and intentional, they become easier to stick with. Second law: make it attractive so that your brain wants to repeat it. Humans are driven by rewards. If a habit is pleasurable, we repeat it. If it's boring or unpleasant, we resist it. The key to making good habits stick is to associate them with something enjoyable. One way to do this is temptation bundling, pairing something you need to do with something you enjoy. I will listen to my favorite podcast only when I'm at the gym. I will watch Netflix only while stretching. Another powerful strategy is surrounding yourself with people who reinforce the habits you want. If you want to eat healthier, spend time with people who prioritize good nutrition. Social reinforcement makes habits more attractive. Third law, make it easy, so that you remove all barriers to success. Most people fail at habits because they make them too hard. The solution? Reduce friction. Want to eat healthier? Prep meals in advance. Want to read more? Leave a book on your nightstand. Want to exercise? Lay out your gym clothes the night before. The 2-minute rule states that any new habit should start so small it takes less than 2 minutes. Do 1 push-up. Write 1 sentence. Once you start, momentum kicks in and you're more likely to continue. Fourth law, make it satisfying so that your brain craves repeating the habit. If a habit feels good, you'll repeat it. If it feels unpleasant, you'll avoid it. The key is immediate rewards. Many good habits, like exercising, only pay off in the long term, so you need small, instant wins to stay motivated. One technique is using a habit tracker where you mark each day you complete your habit. Seeing progress visually is motivating and makes you want to keep going. Conclusion: how to apply the 4 laws and make good habits. Stick for life. The 4 laws of behavior. Change give you a simple, effective system to create lasting habits. Make it obvious. Set clear triggers and reminders. Make it attractive. Pair habits with rewards. Make it easy. Reduce friction and start small. Make it satisfying. Use tracking and rewards. By designing your habits using these principles, you can make success inevitable. Next, we'll explore how to make good habits stick and break bad ones forever. Lesson 3. How to make good habits stick and turn them into a permanent part of your identity. Building habits is one thing, but making them stick is where most people struggle. Many start strong, only to fall off track a few weeks later. The key to long-term success is turning habits into a permanent part of your identity and reinforcing them through deliberate strategies. You must see your habits as a reflection of your identity, not just a task to complete. The most effective way to make a habit last is to align it with your identity. Instead of saying, "I want to run more," say, "I am a runner." Instead of "I want to write a book," say, "I am a writer." When a habit is linked to how you see yourself, it becomes natural. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. The more votes you cast in favor of your new identity, the stronger it gets. If you believe you are someone who prioritizes health, you won't have to force yourself to eat well or exercise. It will feel automatic. Identity-based habits make behaviors effortless because they become part of who you are. You need to build a habit system that eliminates decision fatigue and increases consistency. One reason people fail to maintain habits is decision fatigue. The more choices you have to make, the more exhausting it becomes to stay on track. To prevent this, design a system that removes obstacles and automates decisions. Set up triggers, lay out your workout clothes the night before, keep healthy snacks visible, leave a book on your nightstand. Create routines, block out time for habits on your calendar, follow the same sequence daily. Eliminate friction, reduce anything that makes a habit harder. If you want to read more, delete social media apps that distract you. The more automatic a habit feels, the more likely you are to stick with it. Tracking your progress helps reinforce your commitment and keeps you motivated. Clear emphasizes the power of habit tracking, a simple way to measure progress. Whether it's checking off workout days, logging meals, or tracking writing streaks, seeing visible proof of consistency keeps you motivated. Use a habit tracker app. Keep a calendar where you mark each successful habit completion. Aim for streaks, long, unbroken chains of consistency. However, avoid perfectionism. Missing one day won't ruin progress, but missing 2 in a row increases the chance of quitting. The key is to never let yourself miss twice. Your environment can make or break your habit. Success, so design it to work in your favor. If you want to build strong habits, your environment must support them. Small environmental changes can make an enormous impact. Make good habits more visible. Keep water bottles, gym shoes, and books in sight. Make bad habits harder. Delete time-wasting apps. Keep junk food out of the house. Surround yourself with people who embody the habits you want. Social reinforcement is powerful. When you design your surroundings intentionally, habits require less effort to maintain. The most effective way to keep a habit long-term is to make it part of a bigger purpose. Short-term motivation is great, but for lasting habits, you need a greater reason to stick with them. When habits connect to a larger purpose, they become meaningful. If you exercise just to lose weight, you may quit after reaching your goal, but if you see yourself as someone committed to lifelong health, you'll stay consistent. If you wake up early just to be productive, you might burn out. But if your mornings are tied to deep personal growth, the habit will stick. Attach habits to a bigger mission so they last beyond immediate rewards. Conclusion: making good habits. Stick is about identity, simplicity, and consistency. To make a habit, stick permanently. Align it with your identity so it feels natural. Reduce decision fatigue by automating behaviors. Track progress to stay motivated. Optimize your environment for success. Tie it to a deeper purpose so it lasts. By following these principles, habits will no longer feel like chores. Instead, they'll become part of who you are. Next, we'll explore how to break bad habits effectively and replace them with behaviors that serve you. Lesson 4. How to break bad habits effectively and replace them with positive behaviors. Breaking bad habits is often more challenging than building new ones. Bad habits are deeply ingrained because they provide instant gratification, making them hard to resist. To successfully eliminate a bad habit, you need to reverse the 4 laws of behavior change and introduce friction into the process. The first step to breaking a bad habit is to make it invisible, so that it no longer triggers you. Bad habits often start with cues in your environment. If you want to break a habit, the first step is to remove the triggers that cause it. If you want to stop eating junk food, don't keep it in the house. If you check social media too much, delete the apps or put your phone in another room. If you waste time watching TV, hide the remote or unplug the device. By eliminating the visual or physical cues that remind you of a bad habit, you naturally reduce the urge to engage in it. The second step is to make it unattractive, so that your brain no longer craves it. Bad habits thrive because they feel rewarding in the moment. The key is to reframe how you see them. Instead of focusing on the immediate pleasure, think about the long-term consequences. Smoking may provide relaxation now, but it leads to long-term health problems. Procrastination might feel good at the moment, but it creates stress and failure later. Eating fast food is convenient, but it leads to weight gain and low energy. By associating your bad habits with negative outcomes, you make them less appealing over time. The third step is to make it difficult, so that it requires extra effort to do. If a habit is hard to do, you are less likely to stick with it. Introduce obstacles that increase the friction of bad habits. If you want to stop spending money online, remove your saved credit card details. If you want to cut back on screen time, set up app blockers or time limits. If you want to stop hitting snooze, place your alarm across the room so you have to get up. The harder it is to do something, the less often you will do it. The fourth step is to make it unsatisfying, so that you have a strong reason to avoid it. Immediate rewards drive behavior, so to break a habit, create an immediate negative consequence. Use accountability partners who check in on your progress. Set financial penalties if you relapse. Give a friend money that you only get back if you follow through. Track your bad habits just like you track good ones. Seeing a streak of bad habits broken reinforces progress. When bad habits feel unsatisfying and costly, they lose their appeal. Conclusion: the best way to break a bad habit is to reverse the 4 laws of behavior change. To eliminate a bad habit permanently: make it invisible. Remove all triggers from your environment. Make it unattractive. Associate it with negative long-term consequences. Make it difficult. Increase friction, so it requires extra effort. Make it unsatisfying. Introduce immediate negative consequences. By applying these principles, you take control of your behaviors and replace negative habits with positive ones that serve you. Next, we'll explore how small, consistent improvements can lead to massive success over time. Lesson 5. The power of tiny changes over time and why small improvements lead to massive success. The idea of making drastic changes overnight is tempting, but real success comes from small, consistent improvements. The power of tiny changes lies in their ability to compound over time. Instead of focusing on instant transformations, focus on being just a little better every day. Why 1% improvement every day leads to exponential growth. Most people underestimate how much progress they can make through small, consistent changes. A 1% improvement doesn't seem like much in the moment, but over time, the impact is massive. Imagine improving at a skill, saving money, or becoming healthier by just 1% every day. If you read 10 pages daily, you'll finish dozens of books in a year. If you save a small amount of money regularly, it will accumulate into a large sum. If you exercise for just 10 minutes daily, your fitness will dramatically improve over time. Each tiny improvement compounds like interest, making the long-term effects extraordinary. Small changes work because they bypass resistance and create momentum. One reason people struggle with big goals is because they feel overwhelming. But tiny changes bypass resistance by making improvement feel effortless. Instead of committing to an extreme diet, start by eating 1 healthy meal a day. Instead of running 5 miles, start with 5 minutes. Once you start, momentum kicks in, and small changes lead to bigger changes naturally. This is why taking action, no matter how small, is always better than doing nothing. The power of marginal gains and how tiny improvements separate the best from the average. The best athletes, business leaders, and performers don't make huge leaps overnight. They refine their craft through marginal gains. The British cycling team, for example, went from decades of failure to dominating the sport by focusing on tiny improvements in every aspect, from bike seats to sleep quality. The key lesson: excellence isn't a result of a single breakthrough. It's the sum of small, intelligent decisions made consistently. Why long-term focus matters more than short-term intensity. People often get discouraged when they don't see immediate results. The truth is, small improvements take time to show, but when they do, the results are life-changing. This is why patience is crucial. Success is a long-term game, and those who stay consistent always outperform those who rely on bursts of motivation. How to stay motivated when progress is slow and results are invisible. Sometimes the biggest challenge with small changes is that they don't feel like they matter. When results aren't immediately visible, it's easy to lose motivation. To stay on track, focus on the process instead of the outcome. Trust that consistent effort will pay off even if you can't see it yet. A great strategy is to track small wins. Keeping a journal, using a habit tracker, or setting milestone rewards can reinforce the progress you're making. Progress may be invisible at first, but it is always happening beneath the surface. Conclusion: tiny improvements lead to massive success over time. To achieve anything great, remember, small improvements compound over time. Momentum creates natural progress. Just start. Marginal gains lead to extraordinary results. Consistency beats intensity in the long run. Tracking progress helps you stay motivated even when results feel slow. By mastering tiny changes, you create unstoppable momentum that leads to success in every area of life. Next, we'll wrap up everything we've learned and discuss how to take action today. Final thoughts: how to take action and apply atomic habits to transform your life. Understanding habits is important, but real change only happens when you take action. The key to making atomic habits work for you is to start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Long-term success is built on daily improvements, not overnight transformations. Small, consistent actions lead to massive results over time. The most powerful takeaway from atomic habits is that tiny improvements compounded over time create extraordinary results. Instead of focusing on drastic changes, commit to small, sustainable steps. Read one page of a book instead of aiming for an hour of reading. Do one push-up instead of committing to an hour at the gym. Save a small percentage of your income instead of waiting until you can save large amounts. Success is the result of consistent action over time, not a single big effort. Your identity shapes your habits, and your habits reinforce your identity. To create lasting change, shift your identity first. Instead of forcing yourself to build a habit, embody the person who naturally follows that habit. If you want to be a writer, write daily, even if it's just a single sentence. If you want to be fit, act like someone who prioritizes health, even if it's just drinking more water. If you want to be financially secure, make small but smart financial decisions, like reviewing your budget every week. When habits are aligned with your identity, they become effortless. Make small adjustments instead of drastic overhauls. Many people fail at habit change because they attempt too much too soon. Instead, focus on refining and adjusting your existing habits rather than completely overhauling your routine. If you already exercise, improve your technique or increase intensity slightly. If you eat well most of the time, refine portion sizes or increase nutrient intake. If you save money occasionally, automate small contributions. Tiny adjustments over time create long-term consistency. Track your habits and focus on consistency, not perfection. Tracking your habits helps reinforce consistency. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to show up consistently. Use a habit tracker to visually mark progress. Set reminders to stay on track. If you miss a day, don't miss twice. Get back on track immediately. Progress isn't about never failing, it's about recovering quickly and maintaining momentum. Create an environment that supports your habits. Your surroundings have a huge impact on behavior. Make small changes to your environment to support your habits. Keep healthy food within reach and junk food out of sight. Place books in areas where you relax to encourage reading. Set up automatic transfers for savings instead of relying on willpower. When your environment is designed for success, habits become effortless. Conclusion: start today with one small change. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it starts today. Choose one habit from this summary and take action immediately. It could be drinking a glass of water after waking up, writing a single sentence toward a new project, doing 5 minutes of exercise before bed. Success is built one small habit at a time. Start today, stay consistent, and watch how these tiny improvements lead to massive transformation over time.